Phillies just finished off a 10-game road stand, Frank, at 5-5. They come home 5 games over 500, 20-15, and set to play a pretty bad Reds team here. But they needed to add some offense. They knew it, and they did so today by bringing up first baseman Tommy Joseph to the mix. And Frank Klose joins us now here on 97.3 ESPN from 97.3ESPN.com. Frank, Tommy Joseph up here. Have they made an announcement on who is going down?
They still have yet to make an announcement. There's 2 obvious candidates. One is Darren Ruff. The other is Emmanuel Burris. It could be Ruff. One thing I didn't realize, and Brad from Crash Bernally enlightened me on this, because last season he was at AAA for less than 20 days, his option doesn't count as an option. So the Phillies actually have a contract option left on Darren Ruff, and they could send him to the minor leagues if they wanted. There's a chance they cut him outright, I suppose. As we mentioned the other day, his bat speed is kind of lost him. But Emmanuel Burris has 2 hits so far this entire season, and he would be a candidate to head down as well.
So tell us a little bit more about what adding Tommy Joseph, bringing him up, the reasoning behind it, and what could he add, and what his role could really be.
Well, he's probably going to be the right-handed part of a platoon with Ryan Howard. Both Ruff and Howard, of course, hitting under 200 as the first base combination there. So when Joseph comes up, he'll play some first base against left-handers, probably serve as a pinch hitter. And one thing to keep in mind, too, is that the Phillies have 6 games of interleague play coming up on the road, and they're going to need a designated hitter. So those games will probably see Joseph and Howard in the lineup, regardless against who they face. So I think you'll see him use that as a pinch hitter against lefties later in the game, or mix and match them like the Phillies were going to do with Darren Ruff. Now Joseph, he can't play the outfield. At least Darren Ruff could go out to the outfield, so they're going to be limited if they get rid of Ruff that way. So Joseph's either going to have to play first base or nothing at all, though.
Yeah, now, this is to remind people out there, he was traded for in the Hunter Pence deal, brought up to be really the catcher of the future, and then had concussion problems and ended up now moving to first base. Do the Phillies view him as the first baseman of the future, or is that something that he is trying to prove to them now?
Yeah, that's something he's going to have to sort of write his own ticket about, because when the Phillies traded for him, they did have high hopes of him replacing Carlos Ruiz. Ideally, it would have been by now. Now, the Phillies have 2 good catching prospects in the system, but certainly once he was derailed from those concussions, you really had to wonder if Joseph would ever make it back again. So luckily, he's finally healthy. He's still young. I mean, he's only 24 years old. So there is some potential there that he could play himself into it. He's not in the plans, so to speak, to be a first baseman. But when you look at the Phillies roster going into next season, they really have an open first base position. So I think for right now, he's going to try to show that he's got something, that he can provide some offense to this team, and try to play himself into being next year's first baseman, and then kind of go from there.
What is he's 24 years old now. What do you like about Joseph, and what are some of the qualities that the Phillies saw in him to make him the guy that they're bringing up to? Obviously they need some offense here. What made him the choice?
Well, he always had a decent bat. He showed some power in the lower minor leagues before the Phillies acquired him, and really he was locked in San Francisco by Buster Posey, so he had actually started playing some first base before the trade to the Phillies. But I think they're still hoping that power will come back. The last few years, as he dealt with the concussions, and then he had a little bit of a wrist injury, he never really had the chance to show his power. So if he can bring that stroke back, he seems to be making a lot of contact this year. Really that's what I think they're looking for him at this point. And let's face it, if the Phillies had better offense right now, he might not get the chance. But at this point, why not?
So, if he's in the lineup, where do you see him slotting in the batting order?
That's the hard thing, because they almost would put Ryan Howard and Darren Ruff in the cleanup spot just by virtue of the fact that they've hit home runs in the past. I don't think they'll put Joseph in the fourth slot. They might have Cameron Rupp batting cleanup and maybe bat him fifth or sixth. I know they don't want to totally throw him into the fire, but you're probably not going to bat Freddie Galvis cleanup or or Peter Borges cleanup. So it's almost by default we'll probably have to hit fifth.
Talking with Frank Klose, 97.3 ESPN.com. And don't forget to check out sportstalkphilly.com and Philadelphia.com for all your Phillies news and information as they get ready to take on the Cincinnati Reds here. Now, it seems like each week we keep talking. You do the mailbag. We're looking to see if this team is for real. If you're for real, isn't this the kind of series at home that you should take, maybe to, you don't want to say a sweep every time, but these are the kind of Atlanta, even on the road, 2 out of 3. At home against the Reds, 2 out of 3. Are these the kind of series you start to find out whether a team is for real or not?
Yeah, baseball's a funny game, and as we saw the other day, the Cubs got beaten in a doubleheader, both games by the San Diego Padres. Sometimes the best team doesn't always win, but you really need to take advantage of these games if they sort of want to be with it of some some way or another. Their ceiling might not be as high as playoffs, but you would hope at home they could at least take a couple games from a team like Cincinnati. But you never know. Your starter could, Aaron Nola could have a bad day, or and then things get flopped the other way. But yeah, really they should at home. General rule of thumb is you play 500 on the road and then win your home games. So they just played a 500 road series. Well, now it's time for them to win their home games.
Yeah, and Frank, they're 12-10 on the road. They were a disaster on the road last year. And what does it say about them? They were on the road for 19 of 22 games. Is that right?
Yeah, that was quite the road trip. They came in for those 3 games against Cleveland, but really you have to go back to April 20th when that last long homestand concluded. So, yeah, there's just those 3 games against Cleveland, and they went right on the road to St. Louis, Miami, and Atlanta. So it probably feel good for them to get home. They did an admirable job on the road, and feels like I haven't been there for forever.
Will you be there tonight?
Yeah, I hope to. Checking out the weather.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully the weather cooperates.
That was kind of what we were insinuating is you're going to get a chance to get out there tonight because the weather has not been good. But as Jason Stark and others reported, Tommy Joseph will be called up, and it's not like the day when they called up Dominic Brown for the first time, a couple of years ago, or when you saw Aaron Nola come up. But Joseph was at one time the guy that they really thought was going to come in here. He's hitting .347 with 6 homers. He leads the International League in OPS. So he has just torn up the International League. If Joseph starts to perform and gives them some offense, who would be the next candidate to come up if they are looking to add another bat?
I might have said Cam Perkins, who's at AAA. He's hitting just under 300 right now. He's at 295. But if you look at his last 10 games, he's batting 194. So I mean, he's coming back to earth a little bit. But if you look at his splits, he hits righties. He hits lefties pretty well. So he's somebody who maybe could platoon with David Lowe in left field and give them a little bit more than they're getting. And even though it's bringing somebody up like him might be an incremental improvement, I think there's a point where they're looking for any improvement. So. Would not shock me to see him at some point as the next outfield bat if they really try to find a way to get some offense in the team. I'm really curious to see what the roster move is because
my question I want to kind of interject here, Frank, is are they married to Tyler Goeddel staying on this roster all year long? Because Altair's going to be coming back, for a couple more, maybe another month or two, but at some point, we know Cody Ashley's hitting right now, playing in some games. At what point does the Cinderella slipper fall off there for Tyler Goeddel, or are they married to trying to get him through the year?
I think he's staying. I don't think the Phillies will give him up.
So who's the odd man out when Ashley comes back?
Probably David Lowe is another left-handed outfielder.
Right. And then Altair when he comes back.
I don't think we're going to see Altair until rosters expand in September.
Really?
So that's probably, yeah. It's that type of surgery is really difficult to come back from. So I don't think we're gonna see a squeeze there. And somebody like Goodell, it drove me insane a few years ago to see the Phillies as contenders saving roster spots for David Herndon and Michael Martinez when they were supposed to be a contender. But right now, since the Phillies aren't expected to contend, now's the time you really want to take the Rule 5 picks and really wait them out. Now, last year, there's a name, Taylor Featherston, who the Phillies grabbed on waivers this past offseason. But last year, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, they finished one game out of the playoffs. And they had stuck with Taylor Featherston the entire season as he hit 100-something. And, it's not a good idea to do that if you're a contender. But the Phillies aren't expected to be, and even if at season's end they send Goodell to the minors and he plays next year in AAA and starts every day and continues to develop, that's better for the organization than just letting him go and losing a potential chip, because the scouts really do think highly of him. And when you take a Rule 5 player that you're just going to have to suck it up and deal with some rough patches along the way, and it's a really rare instance when somebody like Odubel Herrera comes up and just acts like he belonged in the major leagues all along, like the Phillies got last year. So just because they were spoiled last year, I wouldn't hesitate to just suck it up, and if he's your fifth outfielder, it's really not that big a deal.
Yeah, and we know they struck gold with Shane Victorino at one point as well, but those are the exceptions, not the rules. The rule should be to read Frank Klose over at 97.3ESPN.com. Follow him on Twitter at Frank Klose with a K, Klose 973. Frank Klose 973 on Twitter. And, of course, on Tuesday, Frank will have the mailbag, and he'll have that posted for you up at 97.3ESPN.com. If you have a question for Frank's mailbag, send it to Frank Klose at Frank Klose 973. All right, pal, enjoy the weekend series.
Thank you.